The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in unprecedented terror. Representatives from 47 species huddled in their protective pods, speaking in hushed, frightened tones about the creatures that had appeared on the edge of known space. "The Devourers have returned," whispered Ambassador Clix, his scales turning the pale yellow of absolute fear. "My people's ancient texts speak of them. City-sized beasts that consume entire worlds, leaving nothing but barren rock." The holographic display showed grainy footage from the outer colonies, massive shapes moving through space, each one easily the size of a capital ship. They had no visible engines, no technological signatures, yet they moved with purpose through the void. Wherever they passed, space stations went dark and planets fell silent. 17 systems have gone offline in the past month, reported Defense Coordinator Vash, her 6 arms trembling as she manipulated the tactical display. No distress calls, no survivors. They simply vanish. The assembled delegates murmured in terror. The Zephyrian representative had to be sedated after viewing footage of the creatures near his homeworld. Even the usually stoic crystalline collective showed fracture patterns of extreme stress. Then the human delegation requested permission to speak. Ambassador Patricia Wells stood at the podium, her small frame dwarfed by the massive alien representatives around her. Humans were still the newest members of the Galactic Council, barely a century since first contact, and many species still considered them primitive curiosities. "We'd like to volunteer for reconnaissance," Wells said simply. The chamber erupted in shocked chittering and growling. Ambassador Clix's scales flickered between yellow and deep red. "You cannot be serious. These are the Devourers, the ancient enemy that once nearly consumed our entire galaxy. Your species lacks the technology to even survive an encounter." Wells consulted her tablet with the casual air of someone checking a grocery list. "Our xenobiologists have been studying your footage. We have some theories about these creatures." "Theories?" Vash's voice cracked with hysteria. "Child species. These monsters are beyond your comprehension. They are death incarnate, the stuff of nightmares that have haunted our civilizations for millennia." "Actually," Wells continued, seemingly oblivious to the panic around her, "we think they might be lost." The chamber fell silent except for the ambient hum of life support systems. "Our Earth has creatures with similar movement patterns and behavior. Large migratory animals that follow ancient routes through their environment. The attacks on your colonies might be accidental. They could be trying to navigate using stellar landmarks that no longer exist." 3 weeks later, the human research vessel Darwin made contact with the lead creature. What they found revolutionized galactic understanding overnight. The Devourers were indeed ancient, spacefaring creatures that had evolved in the galaxy's early epochs when stellar density was much higher. They were following migration routes established millions of years ago, but cosmic expansion had stretched the distances beyond their ability to survive the journey without feeding. They weren't malevolent destroyers. They were starving refugees. Dr. Martinez's report to the Council was met with stunned silence. They're filter feeders. They consume solar radiation and cosmic dust, not living matter. The colonies went dark because the creatures instinctively gathered around artificial light sources, the same way Earth whales follow krill blooms. Within months, human engineering teams had established stellar beacons, artificial navigation points that guided the creatures away from populated systems and toward resource-rich nebulae where they could feed safely. The galaxy's most feared monsters became its most protected species almost overnight. Children across dozens of worlds grew up reading stories about the star whales and the small human ship that had dared to speak to them instead of shooting. Ambassador Wells later reflected on the incident in her memoirs. The galaxy spent millennia fearing these creatures because they assumed malevolence where there was only hunger. Sometimes the most terrifying monster is just a lost animal trying to find its way home. The Galactic Council learned 2 valuable lessons that day. First, that not every threat requires a military response, and second, that the newest species in their alliance might just see the universe differently enough to save them all.